Hi everyone, Top Gun Maverick is gonna kick ass. There's real jets, and real jets, and real jets, and real jets, and...
There's a lot of new content coming from Marvel Studios.
Top Gun 2 is a really sick movie, and I actually like it a lot. I think it's easily one of the best films of the year. I just think that if you're gonna watch a movie that holds its premise on the basis that no country except the US should be allowed to refine uranium, and the US should intervene and bomb the fuck out of any country that tries,
then it's probably a good call to recognize that that's a shitty take and be aware of that. I mean, you can like a piece of media while recognizing that it's clearly a propaganda piece promoting American exceptionalism. Watching problematic movies and enjoying them is just part of life. That's how we got through the Disney Renaissance. And Tropic Thunder. Hi, I'm Emerald, and this is The Spotlight. And I know I'm gonna get hate for making this. I got angry I hate liberals comments in my silly video complaining about the Minions sequel. And for the record, I prefer leftist, but I'm not saying you can't like the movie. I like the movie. I like it a lot. I think it's one of the best of the year, and I think the performances are really excellent. I think the stunts and the practical jet work are really good, and I think the cinematography is kick-ass. I like the stakes, and I think a lot of the scenes were really intense, edge of my seat. I spent the entire runtime of the movie with a big smile on my face because it's a fun time, and I enjoyed it. I just know this movie is weird in regards to American imperialism, and it's kind of problematic, and we need to look at that, because when the US bombs the shit out of a developing nation to keep them from industrializing, it's important to remember that the person responsible isn't the effortlessly charismatic Major League DILF that is Tom Cruise. It's a bunch of imperialistic American nationalists sitting in the Pentagon jacking each other off. Now, Top Gun Maverick being a piece of militaristic propaganda primarily designed to recruit young people, specifically young men, into the Navy, is not a hot take. It's not even a take, it's just a fact. And of course it was successful. I advocate for less military funding, actively, and even I walked out of the theater wanting to do inverted dives in an F-18. The incredibly close ties between Hollywood and the US military have always existed and will likely never end. There's literally a subsect of the DoD designed to help filmmakers in military propaganda. So obviously I'm not upset about that. It's exactly what I expect from my Top Gun remake. Again, the reason I'm making this video is to recognize all of this, so that all of us are able to discern between propaganda movies and real life, because Top Gun 2 sets an unfortunate standard. One of the many climaxes of the film features Tom Cruise going against the grain. He breaks the rules, does something unnecessary against orders, which in his mind is the only way to outfly the advanced Iranian planes. In order to stop Iran from refining uranium, he breaks the rules and saves the day. Now, there are several problems with this, and let's take a look at each of them individually. Keep in mind, this is a very surface-level video, and a very surface-level look at each of these extremely complex issues. Firstly, why is the US interfering with another nation's uranium refinery? Iran is currently allowed to refine uranium, as Donald Trump pulled the US out of the JCPOA, the Joint Concentration Plan of Action, in 2018 with no backup. Although the Permanent Five of the UN were involved in the deal, with the US out of the plan, any real-life attack like this on an Iranian uranium refinery would result in immediate military retaliation and plunge the world into a world war. Tom Cruise would have roughly 15 minutes to congratulate Andrew Neiman on his promising drum career, before the aircraft carrier he made his very dramatic landing on would be blown out of the water by Iran. And remember, the Navy here is making an unconstitutional attack on a sovereign nation which currently has no deal with the US to not refine uranium. There's no point in the 2-hour and 11-minute runtime of Top Gun Maverick when they address this. The movie proceeds with the assumption that the US is right, and it would be stupid for us to think that the US was in the wrong, because other countries should not be able to create nuclear power. This is the American exceptionalism. The idea that the US is inherently stronger and better, destined to conquer and rule the world. A philosophy that has been brought since the creation of the country with Manifest Destiny. International law would consider this attack an act of war. Congress would never have approved this, but we're expected to assume that the Iranians are inherently less powerful and should be banned from refining uranium, although at the same time, they are expected to be inherently more powerful so we can have stakes in the movie. Again, this concept is never even questioned for a second in the film. Which leads us to our second problem, breaking the rules. Tom Cruise literally breaks rules all the time, consistently and with no consequence. Every time he breaks them, he gets yelled at a little bit more, he breaks some more rules, and then is welcomed back as a hero. And this ties in with the first point, because we're expected to cheer for the US breaking an international treaty. And this is the standard set and unquestioned by Top Gun Maverick. The US should be the world superpower. The US should have the strongest military in the world, and should be allowed to force its rules and regulations on other countries with complete impunity. This belief is both American exceptionalism, seeing that the US should be the greatest country in the world, and American imperialism, because we're expected to regulate and hold the rules accountable to other countries, but not to ourselves. Because at the same time, the movie promotes breaking the rules for a nebulously defined greater good. The US should set the rules, but if it doesn't like the rules set by other powerhouses, like for instance, pulling out of an important UN nuclear agreement with the developing country in order to make more trade sanctions on Iran, then the US should be allowed to break rules to maintain dominance. No, the US shouldn't be allowed to, it's obligated to break the rules and keep a chokehold on world military dominance. This is a bad thing. As much as I would like to write this off as mindless entertainment, this is used for Navy recruitment. And as a movie that grossed $1.3 billion and counting worldwide, it's a movie that's going to influence how people think. Remember, you are not immune to propaganda. If you are not actively realizing and fighting the notion in your mind that the US should be an unquestioned, absolutely dominant military force, then it is seeping into your subconscious. I'm not telling you to hate the US, because I don't hate the US. I strongly disagree with some of the nation's actions, but I don't hate the country. But the US government is not an idol, and they are not perfect. Any branch as physically strong as the military is absolutely corrupted by power. The US and the military will continue to commit atrocities. It's important that we realize this and fight back, because when the military commits a disastrous and ill-advised operation like the one featured in Top Gun Maverick, there needs to be public outcry when it happens in real life. Someone needs to give a fuck. That said, even if this movie is 2 hours of militaristic propaganda promoting American exceptionalism, it is a hell of a good time. Top Gun Maverick does rule. I would say just watch it. It's a good, fun movie. It's pretty intense. Just watch it, keep in mind its flaws, and don't let it fool you with flashy plane fights, and remember that the military is corrupt. And the US is not perfect. They're actually pretty fucking stupid sometimes. Thanks for watching, and insert outro dialogue here. What? Oh shit, yeah. Remember to like,